Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Sunday evening update on this Sunday, July 5th, 2009. This is the place to get all the news and views of life extension from around the world and chat with famous researchers and advocates as well. We've had a great lineup of guests over the last year, and of course tonight we have a very special guest once again to focus on the science of cryonics. Not only the science of cryonics, but social issues involved with it as well. And as you know, if you are viewing the show, you can also participate in the text chat that occurs below the video screen there. So if you do have some questions as we roll along through the interview tonight, be sure to ask them and I will relay them to our special guest, Dr. Brian Wowk. But first, I want to mention just a reminder, one of the most important things that we are doing at the Institute right now is raising money for a research project that's going to be occurring at the SENS Foundation Research Lab in Tempe, Arizona. And it is, I guess the official title is Laser Ablation of Lipofuscin. And that is what I would like to just mention briefly off the top here. If you haven't checked it out, go to the homepage of the Institute, iminst.org, the Immortality Institute, and click on that feature article if you want to read all about it. We're collecting money, a matching grant for research, and yes, that is occurring at Schloendorn's lab in Arizona. I see Mark had a question there already tonight. So that is where the research will be occurring, and they are prepping already, just waiting for the matching grant to come on in, and we've already raised a good amount of money. I'm happy to say already over a quarter of the way there. We have until August 17th to collect $8,000. The Institute will match $8,000, and then it will be donated to SENS Foundation, and they can really get into the heart of this research. They're going to test if removing lipofuscin from nematodes, roundworms, will improve their lifespan, but they will also do tests on human cells as well. Hey, you know what? I'll talk about it later in the show after our interview. I don't want to keep our guest waiting too much longer, and I know most of you have joined the show tonight to learn a little bit more about cryonics, find out what's going on in the world of cryonics. And with that, I will introduce our guest for tonight. Welcome to the program, Dr. Brian Wowk.
So thank you very much, Mike. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yes, thank you for joining us this evening. To start off, for those who might not be familiar with you, I know plenty of the audience members probably are, but how about just a little background information on yourself, just the bullet points, let's say, on your educational background, work background, and kind of how you got involved with the science of cryobiology and cryonics in particular.
Sure. Well, I have a PhD in medical physics, and I did graduate studies in radiation oncology and functional magnetic resonance imaging of human brain function. And then after I got my PhD, I did a transition into the field of cryobiology, and have been working at the cryobiology research company 21st Century Medicine for the past 12 years. And in parallel with all that, I have maintained an interest in the field of cryonics going back to the mid-1980s.
Since the mid-1980s? Now,
yes, indeed.
Now, what was the, typically when I speak with people who are interested in longevity and indefinite lifespans, cryonics, things like that, you know what, it seems to be people who were interested in science fiction, who read a lot of early works in radical life extension that kind of got them interested in life extension, cryonics, and such things. Was that the case with yourself? How did you first come across the idea of cryonics?
Well, I had been interested in life extension since the 1970s. I remember reading optimistic articles about it in Kerry O'Quinn's Future and Future Life magazine, and I heard about Pearson and Shaw on the Merv Griffin show and read their book Life Extension when it came out, and I became interested in diet and supplements for optimizing health and longevity, and I became a member of Life Extension Foundation, and I found out about cryonics from a brochure mailed to Life Extension Foundation members back in 1986.
Oh, I see. Okay, well, and that kind of brings me up to one of the first meaty questions of the evening, let's say, is that where the field of cryonics is at this point? Because, myself, I'm a little bit younger. I first came into, came to know what cryonics was in the mid to late 1990s, and this was after many of the first early works about cryonics and radical life extension were written back in the 60s and the 70s. And we've had many different predictions of how far and how fast such things would come, radical life extension and cryonics. And the first time I heard you speak was at the 2005 Immortality Institute conference about vitrification and long-term biostasis. And I just want to know, what have been the most recent advancements in the science of whole body or whole organ preservation since 2005? I know at that point you had developed a new vitrification solution that was perhaps one of the most advanced at the time. In the intervening 4 years, could you name 2 or 3 advancements that have been made in the field of cryonics?
Yeah, probably the most exciting results in cryobiology with a view towards cryonics are some of the results in our lab that we've been able to obtain in brain cryopreservation experiments. This is still unpublished, but we have been able to demonstrate some recovery of tissue function of whole brains after loading and unloading with cryoprotectant mixtures, with vitrification mixtures, and also there have been unpublished results in retention of electrical activity, in particular the ability to form long-term potentiation memory encoding in brain slices after they've been cryopreserved and rewarmed, and I think that's pretty exciting stuff.
Yeah, that is pretty exciting stuff. What do you see as the next step for? I mean, I know it is very incremental, and I know that there aren't that many minds working on the problem, the solution of whole body vitrification and biostasis. But what are the next steps, the incremental steps that we need to take, cryonicists and people researching it, in order to further the research?
Well, there are divergent lines of thought on that question, and I belong to the school of thought that says I think we need to concentrate on improving brain cryopreservation to the point that we can have some kind of demonstrably reversible technology for cryopreserving animal brains and ultimately the human brain, because I think once we have that technology platform, there's a greater certainty in the whole enterprise of cryonics. If we know that the organ that is central to personality and identity can be successfully preserved and recovered in actual demonstration, not just theory, then all the other things that need to happen for cryonics to work, tissue regeneration and repair of damage in the rest of the body and so on, is something that can be solved over the course of time. There's the other thought, which is that we need to devote more time and effort on the problem of optimizing whole body cryopreservation, which means that, okay, we have technologies now that can preserve brain structure reasonably well. It's time we start looking at improving methods of perfusing cryoprotectant into the whole body so that we can get better structural preservation and eventually better viability preservation of other vital organs and eventually all the tissues of the body. And I should mention that there's research going on in that area too. At 21st Century Medicine, we announced in May